Hello, welcome back to our show, Fanya Kazi, which means do the work in English. It's your host, Benida Oniva, and with me today I have a special guest. Through our episodes, the previous episodes, we've seen that we had someone dealing with art, another person with cosmetics, and another one in the music industry. And today we're going to look at someone who is very special in the community, and he's going to introduce himself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dorcas. My name is Salongo Amadou Jean-Pierre.
Okay. Oh, Salongo. Here in Uganda, once you're called Salongo, it simply means that you gave birth to twins. So does it mean that you're a father to twins or what?
Not really. I am Congolese by nationality. I'm here in Uganda as a refugee.
Okay.
So my name has a meaning from Congo, and this derived from Mobutu's song of Salongo. Normally he used to encourage people to do much work, and Salongo, I got it as inherited from my father, being someone who loves work.
Oh, okay. From that name, we are going to see the works that you do. So Salongo, can you kindly tell us which kind of work do you do?
Okay, thank you so much. Now, when we talk about work, I would say I do two categories of works. The first category is the work that helps me keep moving,
Okay.
because we cannot live without working,
Yeah.
so we need financial benefits. That's one category of work that I do. Then the second one, I will say it is which helps me to give back to the community, and I'll call that my motivation or my engine,
Yeah.
because as we see many people committing suicide and other people giving in into life, not caring much, it's because they don't find them being important in the world. So what I call my engine is those works that I do that benefit others, that benefit my community, where I don't get a coin at all. So in what I do as that gives me income, it is interpretation majorly,
Okay.
which I started doing in many years back. I think it was in 2013,
Okay.
while I was at Old Kampala Police. I was giving it as a volunteering work when I was helping people who were coming. They could not fill in the form, so I could help them fill such a form.
Okay.
Then later I got a training at
Yeah.
Refugee Law Project in English proficiency, because the English that I spoke then was not that better that could help me communicate in Uganda, and then I had to be trained. But at the same time, in December 2013, I got a training from from Resettlement Support Center,
Okay.
which is RSC Africa, and I was trained to be an interpreter.
Okay.
And from there, I started working with them as a part-time interpreter, where they pay well. And later on, I upgraded to be employed permanently at InterAid Uganda as an interpreter, where I spent, I think it was then 5 months. Then the 6th month, they deployed me at IOM, where I worked for my 3 years. Then later again, I came back to InterAid. Of course, with InterAid, you're working generally with also UNHCR.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 week UNHCR, 1 week at InterAid. Then later, when InterAid closed, I worked with the NRC for 3 months. That was in 2020, from January to March. And then later, when COVID came in, I was at home doing generally the other works, I say, the other category.
Okay.
And then later, I resumed in 2021, February. I joined the Refugee Law Project, where I'm
Okay.
still working now as a community interpreter,
Okay.
but also a trainer of
Okay.
community interpreters, where we normally travel in different areas in camps, and we skill other people who can speak English and other languages to be able to give that service. That is where I get my money from. Then the volunteering work, I will say, majorly I do it most of the times with Rendezvous Youth Group,
Okay.
which is a Refugee Law Project support group. I normally work there as a podcasts focal person, where I record podcasts that aim to sensitize the communities, and also sometimes I participate in fellowships where we talk with different people, different young people, to tell them how to live in this world, to tackle certain challenges, bring together some challenges that we have and discuss together to see how we can find solutions, guide people in different areas where I can help. Then also I normally escort people to hospitals, to police stations, to courts, as a volunteer, where I give sometimes help as an interpreter, and sometimes I work as an advocate for refugees, because people normally fail to get their rights because they don't know. So when we are together, normally we help each other to see how we can resolve these. At the same time, also I do interpretation in churches, where we have conferences, seminars. We know that these places are places normally where refugees get counsel from. You know, not everyone believes that a counselor can help them overcome the challenges they have mentally. So sometimes they go to churches. So even myself, I understood that the importance of the church, and I partnered with the church. I work with them, not only the church where I fellowship from, but even other churches. When they call me, they need interpretation. Sometimes we have pastors from Belgium, from France, from Congo, who speak languages that are not understood in Uganda, and they want to preach somewhere. They just call me, they say, Salongo, can you come and help us? I go to that church in Barara, in Kampala. I go and help for 2-3 days, free of charge. But people of Uganda also get to get the word of God from another country. Because that's a gift of the language of that God.
Yeah, so Salongo, I can see you have a lot to tell us and a lot that you do. But one thing that I'm so curious about, you say that you also like help refugees, you even go to court with them, you also do advocacy. So I want to know what motivated you.
First of all, I would say I came from a country where injustice is so much seen. There is war, there is discrimination. So by the time I was growing up, I got an opportunity to know many languages, and my tribe could not be easily even identified. So I could be mixed with any tribe. And as I grew up, when I got to university, discrimination was the biggest issue, where certain tribes were set against others. And even this was not only among the students, but also lecturers. Found like a certain tribe, their lecturers wanted the other tribe to fail, and vice versa. Now, when I got there, I was elected also to the position of leadership, and I tried to combat that, which led even to disqualification of many lecturers. It caused, of course, conflicts, but for me it was beneficial. And when I got to Uganda, I wanted to continue the same, because normally not everyone wants things to be right. When I got to Uganda, I said, no, I think I should continue the same, because I noticed I had a lot of knowledge that was needed by many, but not everyone would get it. Now, how do I go teaching everyone about that? Not everyone is interested, but many people develop interest when they get in trouble. But when they are in trouble, you find like there is not much time to teach them about how to know it, but you need to help them on how to get it. So I found that I should actually do that. And as I said earlier, it is a point of satisfaction. I would want to challenge everyone out there. There is no one who feels happy like someone who has given something to someone. Whenever we are, everywhere we are, we normally search for benefits. We look for how we can earn a lot. But on the back of our minds, we are always thinking of giving the same thing again to others. Even those people you think that they are drunkards, they're always happy working, making a lot of money so that they can go in bar and buy drinks for everyone, and everyone drinks freely. So that means there is satisfaction behind it. Even myself, I feel so much satisfied when there is someone who was going to suffer a lot because of lack of a certain knowledge which I possess, and I help them to avail it to them so that they can get the services they needed. So for me, it is already, and I cannot commit suicide at any point, because I know if I die, there are 2, 3, or 4 people who will suffer because of my absence. So I must strive to stay alive, to stay sober, and to stay healthy.
So what are some of those languages that you speak, if you don't mind listing them down for us?
The languages are many, and I'll say first, my native language is Swahili. So Swahili is my mother tongue that I speak, but not all Swahili, but Congolese Swahili. Of course, Congolese Swahili also has groupings. Whereas from the south to the northern part of the eastern Congo, we speak 5 formats of Swahili. Me, I'm so much well conversant with the Goma Swahili. But also I understand Tanzanian Swahili, which is a standard Swahili. I can also speak it. I understand Kenyan Swahili. Yeah, and this Ugandan Swahili, which is the most complicated one, of course I do understand it,
Okay.
where it's only they get words and put them together to make sentences, and they don't mind about verbs.
Okay.
So I also understand it. Then I speak also English, as you can hear. Of course, I learned English from Congo back then. Then French, of course, which is the language of instruction, which I used since I was in kindergarten till university. Then I speak a very lucrative language, Kinyarwanda, which has now other formats where people confuse it. Normally Kinyarwanda, Kinyamulenge, Kinyabwisha, and Kifumbira are familiar languages, but totally different. But I can speak all of them.
Wow.
I don't speak Kirundi, but I understand it very well. So even when I'm interpreting, I speak in Kinyarwanda, the Bunurian speaks in Kirundi. So we understand each other, and I can only inquire where necessary. Then I speak Lingala. I speak now Luganda. I understand Lunyankore.
Wow.
Is it all? I don't know. But
I think there are more. I think there are more.
I don't know. I think those are the languages I speak. Yeah.
So guys, you've heard Salongo speaks Kiswahili, Lingala, French, Luganda, Kinyarwanda, and many others which I don't even recall. So in case you need an interpreter out there, just call him. He'll be there. So Salongo, would like to know some of the challenges that you face, because you've talked about even helping forced migrants through courts, doing advocacy, and we want to just know, list for us down like some of those challenges that you encounter on your adventure.
Okay, thank you so much, Benny. For that question is one of most difficult question, and the challenges are many. There are quite many. I would say first, the majority of those who need language interpretation are normally vulnerable. These are either people who are deprived from services and also resources. Now, you find like in most places where we normally go to give those services, these people cannot even afford the basic services. So when I give it to organizations, of course I am paid. But then when I go to give it where those organizations cannot reach, as I told you during the lockdown, the COVID-19 lockdown, organizations were all closed because no one was allowed to move. But refugees who did not have anything to eat had to move out to look for something to eat, and they were arrested. In the same way, they had to be arrested. Then they were arraigned in courts. And I knew how to access bail in Uganda and even police bonds. So myself, I had to get a bicycle which a lawyer cannot accept to sit on. So lawyers were at home, locked down. I was in trenches trying to follow up on where refugees are detained and where they're being tried in court. So we could communicate on phones, and then I interpret for them and even help them on getting documents, telling their relatives, please come with a LC chairman letter, please come with your IDs so that we can apply for bail. And many people go to bail, of course. Then now when someone is given the paper, this is maybe a lady who has left 3 children at home who are under actually 10 years old. They are accepting to give her bail after you accepting, requesting for people to stand in for her. Then they are giving you the release order. They are giving it to you as the advocate or the person who is trying to help them. And then the person is being released at Clock Tower, at KCCA town hall. Then but the person is being tried on video conference and is detained in Chigo. Now you imagine, how does this paper go to Chigo? And how does that person leave Chigo to come this side? They don't have any coin. They left children who are under 10 years. So it is you who got some money you saved 1 year back, who will get the same amount to pay to a border person and give him a photocopy of the release order so that this border person can be accepted to transport this person under the lockdown to be cleared and get to the destination, maybe at home, without being arrested. But imagine, that is me putting in funds. But where was I getting funds from? I was not being funded by anyone. Now this is one of the challenges. You may end up getting a release order and the person does not get released because you cannot even facilitate them to travel. And then another thing is that also it has created conflicts. Like there are those people in organizations that don't believe in giving services. They actually think like they went to in offices to only earn salaries, but they don't have that humanitarian heart in them. Now, when they obstruct service provision, and you come in like someone who understands, someone calls you and tells you, I was supposed to bury my person, and I'm supposed to get this and this and this service, but they have failed to give me. Now, when you push those to give the same services, they see as if you are a problem to them. This guy thinks he knows a lot, he thinks he has all the rights, he thinks he studied more than us, he thinks he's more connected. Now, you even risk to be killed. People start spreading false information about you. They start creating hatred between you and others.
Thank you, dear viewers, for following us today. This is your show, Fanya Kazi, and with me I had Salongo Amadou Jean-Pierre. Salongo ended by calling upon other young people to use their skills and talents and support the community, and also called upon different stakeholders to give space to the youth. For more, you could contact him on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Salongo Amadou Jean-Pierre. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel as a Rendezvous Youth Group and also other social media platform with the same name. And one thing I'd like you to ask yourself is, of what impact are you to your community, or what are you adding to your community? Don't forget, you can be the change you want to see in your community. Thank you so much. Your host, Benny Doroniva. Ciao.